Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. Glad you could spend a little time with me today. If you're just joining us, welcome. I know we pick up new cities almost every week, I guess. We're adding new cities to our show now, which is kind of exciting. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to answer the question for you that we all have many times in our lives. Why am I so hungry? Why am I always hungry? And I get this question all the time from people. And we're going to discuss several reasons why. We're going to talk about the neurophysiology, how the brain works, how the digestive system works, how the digestive system talks to the brain, how you might be dehydrated, you might be lacking nutrients. And there's a lot of different reasons, but all of them are really easy to fix. And that's the cool part. So, again, if you're just joining us, welcome. I'm board certified in chiropractic, board certified in orthopedics, double board certified in nutrition, board certified in pain management. That's 5 board certifications, BS in clinical nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. And this show is heard coast to coast and around the world because of people like you demanding quality radio. And that's why this show is so popular. We pick up new cities every day. So I'm glad you could be here. So let's talk about several different reasons as to why you're so hungry. In fact, just before we went on the air, Johnny, our screener, he was telling me last week, a couple of weeks, he went through a cleanse. And then 2 or 3 days ago, he broke his cleanse and he showed me a picture of what he was eating. And, oh, Johnny, I'm sorry, 3 Our Fathers, 2 Hail Marys. I mean, you need penance for this one, man. And as soon as he started, right, Johnny, he's nodding his head, you couldn't stop. As soon as you got back on the bad stuff, you went out of control. In fact, he dug into his backpack and said, I think this is edible. I don't even know what it was. But that's what happens is the brain will reboot itself to be healthy. But then if you start to poison it again, it'll say, ooh, I like this stuff. It's stimulating my nucleus accumbens, releasing dopamine in my brain, and I want more. So when you realize you can't stop eating bad food, it's because your brain is loving this pleasure that you're giving it. And you got to stop it. And once you stop it, the brain can say, okay, I get it. I'm not supposed to do that. It gets its wrist slapped, and then it goes back to normal again. So let's talk about things that you eat. And this is a perfect example. Now, maybe you're at work, and I see it here at the studio a lot. I come in, and I'm amazed at what we have an area in the studio called a trough. And I'm amazed at the junk that people leave at the trough. And sometimes, company will send sandwiches hoping that they get a mention on the air, free advertising. And people bring donuts. I've seen birthday cakes in here. I think I might have seen a wedding cake at one point. And you just leave it on the trough. And then, of course, the animals come and eat it. Animals being, of course, my coworkers. And they scoff down this junk food. And then they feel awful. And that's always the kicker, is you feel awful after you're doing it, but it's tempting. And it stimulates the pleasure centers in your brain. You become an addict. So maybe you ate that donut and it looked really good, but then you want something else. It's tasty in the moment. The drinks, the candies, the pastries, the cookies, the donuts. They don't give you any lasting energy, so soon you're hungry again. So if you do this, you're going to have to eat more bad food. And if you eat good food, you'll eat more good food. As soon as you eat bad food, you want to eat more bad food. So think about this. Is it worth it? I used to be really overweight when I was a kid. 10, 11, 12 years old. And I finally got to the point I couldn't play baseball with my cousins. We used to try to run around and play baseball, and I was too fat. I couldn't keep up with them. And I thought, it's not worth it to me. The cookies, the cakes, the donuts. I grew up half a German, half Italian with amazing food in Hoboken, New Jersey. And so there was food everywhere. But I made a decision at that young age, it's not worth it. And that's what you need to do is say, is it worth it? So when it comes to snacking, you got to make better choices. Comes to meals, you got to make better choices. So fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds are going to be good for you. Avocado is going to be good for you. Good fat. A lot of times I'll take, there's 2 products, I'll tell you about them later, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And if I want to make a meal out of it, I can either add some plant-based protein powder or I'll add about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. And coconut oil makes you feel full. Avocados make you feel full. Nuts make you feel full because they're high in fat. And good fats, not bad fats, good fats. And when you eat the good fats, you feel satisfied. And then you can eat less. And then when that cake is staring at you, you can say, you know what? Nah, I'm good. My mother, I was talking to her, as a matter of fact, and my mother was overweight a good portion of her life, and then she lost a lot of weight. And she said, I remember the day I started gaining weight again. I had a piece of cake, and it was so good. Somebody next to me didn't eat theirs. I had theirs. And she goes, ever since then, I've put on weight. And that was like 8, 10 years ago. She still can't break the addiction. So think about what you're eating. Is it going to be worth it? So nuts and seeds are going to be real good choices to make you feel full. And remember this, it takes 20 minutes to get the message from your stomach to your brain. So if you eat nonstop for 20 minutes, you're going to feel full in 20 minutes. If you have a snack and wait 20 minutes, you're going to eat a lot less food. Now, as a chiropractor, when patients come to see us in our offices, my team of doctors and I want you to get well, not just out of pain. I mean, chiropractic is great for getting rid of neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, car accident injuries, but we want to get you well, not just out of pain. And so that's why we focus so much on the nutrition part, and you have control of the nutrition part. Maybe you're stressed out. At first, your body zaps away hunger. It releases a hormone called adrenaline. So you get scared, you're working out, you're not hungry. But if the worries stick around, your system cranks up another hormone called cortisol. And this one can make you eat everything in sight. Anybody ever take steroids? If you took steroid drugs, what happens? You can't stop eating. Well, cortisol acts like that. And you just get ravenously hungry. And until you can get that cortisol level to drop, you're going to stay hungry. But the problem is you get cortisol high because you're stressed out, which means you start eating bad, which makes you more stressed out, which raises your cortisol level. Caught in a trap, as Elvis once said. You're caught in a trap, can't walk out. And that's what's happening to your body. You're just trapped because you can't stop eating these foods because they're stimulating the pleasure centers in your brain. Cortisol should drop in the morning, and that's when you wake up. Cortisol should drop at night, and then melatonin should rise and you go to sleep. Cortisol should go up in the morning, and that's when you wake up. So in our offices, we do saliva tests to measure your cortisol levels to see if you're under too much stress. And if you are, we have to find out what is the stress. Is it chemical? Is it physical? Is it emotional? As a chiropractor, we check the physical, pinched nerves, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. If it's emotional, we might be able to fix the chemical and the physical, and the emotional is a lot easier to deal with. Maybe you have a digestive problem, which we're going to talk about right after this break. Maybe you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. We're going to tell you what that means, why that can make you nonstop hungry, and how easy it is to fix that. And because you've been such good boys and girls, I'm going to open up the phone lines. If you have a healthcare question, give us a call. 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, tons of information there, drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. Glad you could spend a little time with me. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, talking today about why are you so hungry? Why are you hungry all the time? And that'll tie nicely into our first caller here. Ron, how can we make your day better?
Well, Dr. Joe, here's the deal. I have a son who's in perfectly good health. He plays basketball in college. He's healthy as an ox, but he eats like a horse.
Sure.
And 5 times a day, okay, which is no big deal. I mean, every parent out there that has an athletic kid knows that.
Right.
But my concern is all he wants is protein, and he'll get hungry at night. Like you feed him at 8 o'clock, and then at 10 or 11 or 1 o'clock or somewhere, he just gets starving again. I mean, he literally says, "Dad, I'm so hungry," and he'll eat more protein, like get up and fix himself 8 or 9 pieces of sausage.
Wow.
Or fix himself another. I know, it's crazy. I mean, if I told you how much he eats, you wouldn't believe me. He just consumes massive amounts of food. Well, now that he's away at school and he doesn't have mom and dad, to kind of, he's struggling a little bit because he can't eat as much at night. You know what I'm saying? If he gets hungry at night, he can't just go get food. So is there something we can do? I mean, I've heard you say things like nuts and things like that, but I mean, is there a better way to feed him or get him to eat during the day?
Well, you could
might curb these huge hunger spikes.
Sure. A couple of things you could do. Number one is you could try giving you more fat. Try coconut oil, avocados, nuts, and see if that helps. And nuts might be a good solution because it's going to have fat and protein in it together. Depending, like eating too much meat protein is not a good thing because animal protein stimulates something called the mTOR pathway in the colon, which can lead to cancer. And so we got to be real careful. That's why I don't eat animal products. I haven't had any animal products in over 30 years because I understand what happens chemically to the body when you put animal proteins into the body. So aside from the fact he's hungry, he may be setting himself up for some real serious health issues. So I would have him eat more fat and see if that helps. Number two, if he burps a lot, if he has acid reflux, if he's gassy, it could be that he's not digesting his food properly. He may have something called a hiatal hernia. And the stomach sits below your diaphragm. And if his stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, happens a lot in athletes because they do a lot of sit-ups, the stomach pushes into the diaphragm, food now refluxes up into the throat, and the stomach, I believe this is what happens, the stomach stops producing a hormone called leptin. Now, leptin is a hormone that goes up into your brain, the hypothalamus, and makes you feel full. So it might be that he's not getting the leptin up to the hypothalamus to feel full, so he just wants to keep eating because he's not producing the leptin because his stomach isn't working. Make sense?
Well, that's why, see, as a dad, that's what I keep telling him. I keep telling him it's in his head. You know what I mean? I mean, I really do.
You're absolutely right. It is. But
so, I mean, how do you fix that? I mean, if it's
well,
high urinary or something like that, how do you fix that?
Well, if you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, go under articles. There's a thing that says blog, and under the blog it says Dr. Joe's articles, and read the article on GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. And just cut and paste it, send it to him. It's 2-3 paragraphs. You know, it's real short. And it'll explain how the stomach pushes up into the diaphragm. And that's my number one downloaded article by far. My website is extremely popular all over the world. This is the number one article because we show you the techniques we use to pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And then if he is near one of our offices, even on vacation or something, we can see him and hopefully get that fixed for him. Try the fat, have him read the article, see if he fits the pattern. If he does, then have him come see us.
All right. Thanks, Doctor.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate the call. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. Oh, there we go. We lost them there. Okay, good. And let's keep taking calls. Dree, how can we make your day better?
Hey.
Hi.
Okie dokie. Now I'm working at an assisted living facility, and I'm using the alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
Yes.
At least 12 to 15 times a day. And one of the ladies there said, you shouldn't do that. It goes straight to your liver.
Yes and no. Yes, it does, but that's not the biggest problem with the hand sanitizer. The bigger problem. Oh, I hear bells. There you go. Can you shut those bells off? There we go. Can you shut the bells off? There we go. Good. Okay. The biggest problem, Dree, is that the hand sanitizers most likely contain something called triclosan. Triclosan is something called an endocrine disruptor. What that means is it gets into your body and acts like estrogen and stimulates your body to produce excess estrogen, or acts like it has excess estrogen, which can lead to things like weight gain, hormone imbalances, tumors, cancer. So I'm not a big fan of triclosan whatsoever. Now, if you go to my website, I think the recipe should still be there. I put a recipe out there a long time ago, and it's using vodka or rubbing alcohol as your alcohol base, witch hazel, which is an astringent. It tightens up the skin. And then you put a little tea tree oil in there. And the tea tree oil is antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal. So you can make
tree, like a TEA, not
TEA.
tea tree, but a tea tree.
TEA, TREE, right. So go to my website under blogs. It's like Dr. Joe's articles. Check those articles and see if it's in there. If it's not, just send me an email and I'll send it to you. But it's a real simple recipe that you can make your own hand sanitizer with, and it's not going to mess with your liver, your hormones, and everything else that goes on in your body.
Oh, okie dokie.
Problem solved.
Thank you, dear.
Thanks
Bye.
so much. I appreciate it. What a great job I have. Can you believe we do this for a living? This is like so amazing. What fun is this? All right. If you have a question, give us a call. 844-44-Dr. Joe. We have a few callers to keep holding, folks. I'm going to get to you. 844-44-Dr. Joe. We're talking about why we're so hungry all the time. And another issue could be that you're thirsty and you don't know it. Because when you were a little baby, way, way back when, you had a part of your brain that controlled hunger and a part of your brain that controlled thirst. And as you get older, those two parts of the brain literally start to grow together. And so you have a real tough time from maybe toddlership, if that's a term, from when you're a toddler on, deciding if you're actually hungry or thirsty. And in many cases, you're thirsty. And so that part of the brain sends a message, a little discomfort, saying, hey, I want something. And you think, well, I could drink water, which is really boring, or I can have something like breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, cookies, and I could eat these things, and that'll make me feel full, but that doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the fact that you're thirsty. So many times, and that may go back to the first caller, I think it was Dan, his name was, check with your son and see if he's drinking enough water. Chances are he's not. So here's my trick. I want you to trick your brain. Before every meal, I want you to have a big glass of water, 8 ounces, 10 ounces, 12 ounces, whatever, and do that about 10 or 15 minutes before your meal. And what's going to happen is you're going to start to find that you're eating a lot less food. Because many times when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. And if the one Dan's son is an athlete, he's out dehydrating himself and not rehydrating. And if he's drinking things like sports drinks that are loaded with sugar and chemicals and dyes, they may give you short-term satisfaction, but in the long term, the sugar acts like a salt in a weird way. It dissolves and acts like a salt and can cause you to urinate more, which can actually dehydrate you further. It's kind of like a lot of the lip things you put on your lips in the winter. A lot of them have alcohol in it. Alcohol dries out your lips, so what do you want to do? Well, you want to use more of the lip stuff. Same thing with a lot of drinks. They have a lot of sugar in them, which makes you more thirsty, so you drink more of the drink. Good business model. Buy more of my product. Right? Ahmad's nodding his head and laughing in there. Exactly right. If I can get you to use more of my lipstick, right? And Johnny's laughing too. All the boys. We had a good boys night out tonight. If I can get you to use more of my lip stuff, well, you're going to buy more of my stuff, and I'm going to sell more product because it's drying out your lips, not moistening them. Same thing with a lot of drinks. So coffee, teas, sodas, anything with sugar or caffeine is going to be a diuretic. Folks, got to go to break. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, tons of good information there, folks. And you can order the supplements I think everybody should be taking, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Information on the website as well, drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. I'm at Dr. Joe Esposito. Lots of good information there as well. Hey, do me a favor. Don't go anywhere. I want you to tell all your friends about the show. We've got a lot more information to cover. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. This is the show where we naturally get you well and keep you well. That's my goal. I want to teach you how to take care of yourself because we don't know what the future holds when it comes to accessibility to health care. That's the kicker, is that everybody in politics talks about healthcare. They're talking about insurance. They're not talking about healthcare. Healthcare is you getting treatment or you taking care of yourself, and that's what I try to do is teach you to be your own doctor. So today we're talking about why you're hungry so much, why you can't stop eating, and that's a big problem because all of us, I think at some time or another, get to that point where you're just eating and eating and you just feel so full and you can't understand why you're still hungry. Well, the reason you feel hungry or full is because of hormones. Now, what happens is your stomach produces a hormone called leptin, and leptin is released into your blood when food is in the stomach, goes up into your hypothalamus in your brain, and the hypothalamus says, okay, I'm full, I can stop eating. Once you've utilized the food in your gut, the small intestine produces something called leptin, L-E-P-T-I-N, and leptin is a hormone that goes up to your hypothalamus and says, I'm hungry, feed me. And so many times when you're hungry, it's because your hormones are kind of out of balance. And that could be because you have hiatal hernia, acid reflux, your sugar balance is off, or you're eating things like high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup will lower your leptin, which makes you feel full of leptin, and raise your ghrelin, which makes you feel hungry. So high fructose corn syrup is truly evil when you're trying to eat less or lose weight. Because it's not just the sugar content and the calorie content, it's how it messes with your hormones. And so sources of high fructose corn syrup are, where do you get it from? Everywhere. Pick up almost any processed food and you're going to see high fructose corn syrup in it. I saw beets the other day, red beets, pickled red beets, high fructose corn syrup. And many times, well, almost always, I don't know when it's not done, the corn syrup is made from genetically modified corn. And genetically modified corn is we've altered the corn, and that's a whole nother show. We're gonna have. I've done several shows on genetically modified foods already, and it's not good because whenever you change something in a protein in an animal or a plant, it's going to change how your body works. In fact, we're finding now milk. There's one type of milk. It's called A1. And there's another type of milk called A2, and the A2 comes from things like Jersey cows. A1 is what most of you are drinking right now. I don't drink milk, so I can't be part of this group. And A1 has a certain amino acid chain. You know, I think it's 136 amino acids to produce a protein. And in the A2, there's a different, it's almost exactly the same, but one amino acid is different. And that one amino acid means when you take the A1 milk, it can lead to things like irritation of the bowels, gas, bloating, allergic reactions, brain fog. One amino acid, and what I think it's 136 amino acids together producing this protein, one little change, histidine. I can't remember what place it's at. That changes to A1, makes A1 or A2 milk, and A1 milk is very bad. And so when you feed children A1 milk, they can cause severe allergic reactions. So even just one little amino acid in this big chain can change everything. When you alter the DNA of something like genetically modified foods, it can change how it works. And there's tons of studies out there that everyone is just kind of ignoring. You know, it's the gorilla in the room. They're going, oh, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. It is a big deal. Because when you change the DNA of a plant or an animal, it's going to change the way we as humans ingest it and digest it. So you got to be careful with that. So that could be an issue too. And high fructose corn syrup, that's what we were, can spike your ghrelin and lower your leptin. Now, if you eat a lot of starchy foods like donuts and breads and cookies and cakes and donuts and pastas, they send a lot of sugar into your system at once. Your body releases the hormone insulin, which helps, it kind of opens up the cells so that the cells can take the sugar in and start utilizing it. Well, what happens is if you produce too much insulin from eating too much sugar, it takes too much sugar out of your blood, it lowers your reserve tank, and then you crash. And so you spike your blood sugar, then you crash, and your body says, ooh, give me more sugar so I can feed the cells. They've kind of used up all their fuel already, and the insulin let too much fuel in at once. It drains the gas tank. All right, let's go back to the callers. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Dan, how can we make your day better? Hello, Dan.
Are you talking to me?
I am talking to you, Dan. How can we make your day better?
Okay, Dr. Joe. I got a bunch of information to run by you real fast. In '06, my wife was stung by a swarm of yellow jackets in intensive care for a week.
Sure.
She, in '08, was diagnosed with primary progressive multiple sclerosis.
Oh, my.
August 2nd, she went in for her second infusion on a new drug released from the FDA. 24 hours later, she went into a coma for 3.5 days.
Wow.
They treated her for 10 days, and then because of the bee sting, she's allergic to bees. Today she was at a church function, went to drink a Coke, and a bee stung her on the lip.
Ow.
She went into a coma again, or whatever you call it. They rushed her to the hospital. They got her back. She's home now. And I was wondering if there was a way, or if I should think about detoxing her.
Oh, absolutely.
Because she was diagnosed with sepsis and colitis when she went in with the coma 24 hours after that
absolutely,
infusion.
Yeah, a couple of things. Whenever you have somebody with MS, they have to stay away from all dairy products. Because the dairy products, we just talked about that, the A1 dairy products, it can cause an autoimmune reaction. And that's what MS is, the body building up sclerotic buildup around the nerves. And as a chiropractor, of course, my job is make sure those nerves are getting free flow of electricity. And the sclerotic buildup around the nerves can be very bad. So you definitely, absolutely positively want to stay away from dairy products. Second thing she has to stay away from is artificial sweetener. Because if she's doing anything with...
She uses stevia.
Okay, stevia is fine, but you said she was drinking a soda before.
Yes, she was.
Okay, but if she's doing anything artificial sweetener, that's chewing gum, mints, sodas, it's in over 6,000 products. Aspartame breaks down to 3 components: aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters. The methyl esters, if you go into methanol toxicity, mimics MS symptom for symptom. So many times patients come to my office and they've been diagnosed with a tentative diagnosis of MS. Nothing shows up on a CAT scan or an MRI. We get them off the artificial sweetener. All their symptoms go away. So have her do some real serious research into everything she's eating. It could be something as simple as a piece of candy. Yogurt, it could have the aspartame in it. She's got to get off that. Okay?
But is there anything I can do to detox to try to get all this poison from the septic and the colitis out of her?
Absolutely. You got to get her on a really healthy diet. I would start her with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source.
We do that.
Oh, you do that already. Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
You've heard me talk before. Then keep her away from the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Those are the biggies.
Okay.
And she's got to do about 60% of her diet raw vegetables, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, salad. The raw food is going to give her enzymes that are going to help the body heal. So the Super Greens and Essential Source loaded with enzymes, raw food loaded with enzymes, and make sure her bowels are moving 2 to 3 times a day. If the bowels,
that was the biggest problem when she got the sepsis,
Of course, yeah. And we have Dr. Joe's
bowels were backed up.
There you go. Intestinal cleanser, Dr. Joe's intestinal cleanser is on the website as well, and you can check that out as well, and that will help the bowels move.
Okay.
All right. So a lot of raw food, no bad food, Super Greens, Essential Source, intestinal cleanser. If you still have issues, then give us a call. We'll see you in the office.
Okay, very good, doctor.
Thanks, Dan. Tell her I said hi.
Thank you so much for taking my time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Tell your wife I said hi. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. And, folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe is the number here at the studio. And, I'm going to have to go to break. I got so much to cover. No more breaks. That's it. I'm sorry. Yeah, tell the boss that, right? Yeah. I can try that one time and one time only on the last day that I'm working, right? Folks, my website's available 24 hours a day, drjoeesposito.com. And you can order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, which are 2 supplements. They're powders I believe everyone should be taking every single day. And I have it right here in the studio in front of me like I always do. We archive our radio shows, drjoeesposito.com. You can listen there if you want to. We videotape my live lectures. Come out to my live lectures. Check my schedule. They're a lot of fun. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. We send out a lot of good information. Hey, don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Friends about the show. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. This is the show. We give you straight talk on health because I want you to naturally get well and stay well. That's my job. And so we're talking today about why are you so hungry all the time, and several different reasons. And one of the big ones really is you may be thirsty and not hungry, and you can't tell the difference between thirst and hunger as an adult. Children can, but we can't. So you just drink more water. May just solve that problem. Real simple. We keep talking about the hiatal hernia and the acid reflux, and that's a biggie. And the reason I keep coming back to that is about 85% of the patients I've seen, I've been doing this for a long time now, have some type of digestive problems, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. And I always joke, I said, 85% of my patients have digestive problems and 15% lie. Because a lot of people have it and nobody talks about it. It's not dinner conversation. So if the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, you may have the burping and the gas and the bloating and the acid reflux. And the danger of that is the acid gets into your esophagus and can eat away at your esophagus and lead to things like esophageal cancer. So it's a real serious issue. And if you do other things on top of that, like, for example, if you use barbecue a lot, when you barbecue meats, the fats and the proteins create heterocyclic amines, which are known carcinogens. And the smell of the barbecue, the meat dripping down onto the coals, creates polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are also carcinogenic. So here you are having cancer, no matter what kind of cancer it is, prostate, breast, colon, it doesn't matter, and you're eating grilled meats. You're just feeding the fuel. You're feeding the fire. If you eat sugar and you have cancer, you're feeding the fire. It's like throwing lighter fluid into a bonfire. It's just going to make it worse. And so hopefully you get smart enough and people will say, stop eating the sugar, stop eating the grilled meats, stop eating meat, but the grilled meat especially, and that's going to help tremendously with the survival rate, and that's what's kind of cool. So if you have that problem, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and we have a real good article on that. Go under blog, and you'll see Dr. Joe's articles. Read the article on gastroesophageal reflux disease, and you will say, as everyone does who reads the article, you wrote that about me. How did you know, Dr. Joe? That's all my symptoms. That's exactly what I have, because you're not alone. Everybody's got the same problems. Let's go back to the callers. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Lots of callers today. James, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe, this is James Mason.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm very happy you called.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. I hope you can help me out. The screener told me that to mention the more serious one first.
Okay.
2 questions, but the first question I'll go. At age 13, I started skateboarding and got pretty good at it. Then 18, I quit. Then I would, just go back and forth to it in my 30s and my early 40s. I'm 44 now, and the thing is, I can walk, do a lot of things, run, but when I stand in place, I feel my knees are like grinding and they hurt. They don't hurt, it aches, and it feels uncomfortable. I have to sit down. I can't stand too long. That's it.
Okay. Well, what happens is if you're a skateboarder, you fell a lot. When you fall, bones come out of place. And when the bones misalign, they start to rub up against each other. Osteoarthritis, and so many of you listeners right now all around the world are going to, you've been told you have degenerative joint disease, osteoarthritis, degenerative disc disease. Osteoarthritis is mechanical. What that means is the bones are out of alignment, rubbing up against each other, and then the connective tissue, the cartilage or the discs in there start to wear out. And the grinding you hear is the body grinding up those cartilage into soft tissue. So you need to, find out why. We know they're out of place. You got to put them back in place. And you got to find somebody who knows. Like my doctors are all trained in what's called extremity adjusting, putting the extremities back in place. And that will take the stress off it and hopefully stop the wear and tear. And that should stop the aching as well. So it's probably a misalignment that's causing this whole thing.
So I could come into your office and they could just do alignments?
Yeah, we can check it and see. And if it is that, and I can almost guarantee you that's what it is, we figure out how bad it is and then how many visits it would take to get it back in place. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Thanks, James. Appreciate the call.
I have one more if you have time.
Yeah, go ahead. We got a few seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, well, here's I've been smoking since I was the same age, 18. I've been smoking on. I want to know. I'm going to get these patches as an alternative to smoking, but I'm not ready to quit yet. What is the best way? Like, is there a natural way you could say, like taper off cigarettes?
Yeah. What I find, any addiction, whether it's cigarettes or sugar or drugs, the body is really deficient in nutrients, and you're taking in these outside stimulants to try to get your brain stimulated, where if somebody who's healthy, their brain is naturally stimulated. So what I would suggest with you is really do some soul searching and get the diet straightened out. At least take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, because that's going to give you the minimum amount of nutrients your body needs for a day. And they're 2 powders. I put it in a glass jar, shake it up with some coconut milk, and drink it at least once a day, many times 2 or 3 times a day. That's going to.
What was that you said? The coconut milk?
Coconut milk or almond milk. I don't do cow's milk, and I don't think you should either.
Oh, you don't touch no dairy products.
No dairy products. No one should, in my opinion. So.
Okay. Is there any foods I should avoid?
I would avoid the foods that are really stimulating, like sugars. So.
Oh, okay.
Because the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, they stimulate the nucleus accumbens and release dopamine along with the nicotine and the tar, and you're just getting high on these things. So we got to break you of your getting high addiction. A lot of water,
right.
Super Greens and Essential Source, and at least something raw at every meal. Now, when I say something, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocado, salad, at every meal, at least one portion of it, if not the whole meal, should be raw. And that should help tremendously. Fair enough?
Okay.
Thanks, James.
So much, Doctor.
Appreciate the call. Folks, if you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. That number, by the way, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air, because some people, they think, oh, I had a question, I forgot to ask it. You can call the office, or better yet, just send me an email. It's a lot easier, because then the secretaries may think we get called, as every business does. We don't know if it's real or not sometimes. So you can send me an email through my website, which is drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number 1 Dr. Joe in the world. We archive our radio shows. We videotape our live lectures. They're all on the website as well. Some people are visual learners. That's why we put the videos on there, and we also put the audios as well. Articles I've written, it's under the blog section, Dr. Joe's articles. If you want information about Super Greens, Essential Source, Colon Cleanser, my books are really good reads. Eating Right for the Health of It and Prescription for Extreme Health, those are also on my website as well, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, listen, got to go to break. A lot more to talk about. So next time we get together, which is very soon, we're going to talk about other reasons why you're so hungry. And then we're going to talk about some foods that you can eat, because there are certain foods that'll make you feel fuller and you're going to eat a lot less. Because remember, when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food. You're hungry for nutrition. But again, folks, the website, 24 hours a day, drjoeesposito.com. Lines are open right now for questions, 844-44-DR-JOE. We'll be right back. 4-Dr. Joe. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. Do appreciate you taking time out of your day. Today, we're talking about we're answering the question, why are you so hungry all the time? So many people come to me and say, Dr. Joe, I just can't stop eating. And I get that way too. And I know if I'm eating too much, I feel bloated and my stomach hurts. And I've looked at how much food I've shoved in my gut. And yet I still want to keep eating. And it's because I'm not getting the message from the stomach to my brain. And as a chiropractor, that's a big issue for me, because I want to know why the nerves are working or not working and what we need to do to fix it. So 2 things can affect the nerves, physical or chemical problems. Now, physical would be a pinched nerve. As a chiropractor, my team of doctors and I, we find the bones that are out of place or the organs that are out of place and try to manipulate them back into place. Chemically is what you eat, food, drugs, alcohol, environmental toxins. So we got to get the chemical and the physical working in order for your body to work right. So another reason why you might be hungry all the time. We just had a good caller online. I had to see if they just dropped. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DR-JOE, because a line just opened for you. Maybe you have diabetes. A condition means your body has an energy problem. That's what diabetes is. You may get hungry because your body thinks it needs more fuel. The real problem is you're having trouble converting the fuel that you already have, or using it, I should say. You also might start to lose weight. You might pee a lot. You feel tired all the time. You get thirsty a lot. Never hurts to get a blood work. I'm a big fan of getting blood work to find out what's going on. Because if you have an issue and you don't fix it, well, you don't know about it, you can't fix it. I remember when I was studying for one of my diplomates. I have 5. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, and double board certified in nutrition. And I remember when I was studying for my orthopedic board, my teacher, Rick Ackerman, said, if you don't know it exists, you can't diagnose it. And that stuck with me. And it's true. If you don't know it exists, you can't figure out what it is. And a lot of times, I have 6 doctors in my offices, and we'll get together and review just about every patient case. And we'll say, what do you think this is? What do you think that is? What would you do in this case? So it's nice that we can brainstorm and kind of put all our minds together and say this would be the best course of treatment for this patient. And blood work sometimes can be very helpful. Now, blood work isn't always right either, by the way. It's a picture of you at a moment in time. So I remember years and years ago, I had my blood work done, and it came back, and I had high triglycerides. And I'm thinking, how could I have high triglycerides? But I remember the day before, this is many, many years ago when I wasn't as strict as I am now with my eating. I wasn't as correct, I should say. Not strict, correct. I had eaten a big pasta meal. And so the pasta, the sugar was broken down and utilized in the cells. And then once the cells were all full of sugar, the sugar went back into my liver, got converted into glycogen. And once all the glycogen storage places are filled up, it then converts into triglycerides where it gets stored as fat. So literally, the meal I had the night before was on my way to my fat cells to be stored as fat. So that could be an issue. So if you have diabetes, might be a problem. Another thing could be hypoglycemia. This means there's not enough fuel or glucose in your blood, and that can make you tired, weak, and dizzy. And it happens if you haven't eaten in a while. And until I got my diet right, I had to eat all the time because I got hungry because I just felt weak and tired. Once I got the diet straightened out, life became good. And one of the things you have to do to get your diet straightened out is eat a lot of fiber. And that kind of leads into our next caller. Is it Ileana?
Yes.
Hi, Dr. Joe here. How can we make your day better?
Well, hi, Dr. Joe. My first time on your show, and I'm really looking forward to an answer from you.
I'm sure I have a good answer for you, actually. So go ahead.
I'm sure you do. My grandmother had severe diverticulitis.
Yes.
And my last colonoscopy found out I have 2 diverticuli. And I know you encourage folks to eat seeds and nuts and all that good stuff. However, my understanding is I'm not supposed to eat seeds and nuts with the diverticuli. So any suggestions?
Of course I have suggestions. You know, I have suggestions for everything. Come on now.
Yes, I know you do.
Well, the diverticulum is when you get a little bulging, like a bubble in your colon, for those people who don't know what it is. And if you ever blew up a tire, a bicycle tire, sometimes if the tube is weak, it gets a bubble in it. Well, that's kind of what happens in your colon. And the thought process is if you eat nuts or seeds, it can get caught in that little bubble and can cause problems. Now, I'm not a gastroenterologist, but in all my years of practice, I've never known anyone to ever have that problem occur. That being said, I'm willing to go with this. I'm going to say, okay, let's assume everybody's right on this. Maybe it's just an old wives' tale. I don't know that. But you can do nut butters, almond butter, cashew butter, sesame butter. That would solve that problem real quickly. You know, sunflower seed butter. The other thing you need to do is you got to heal the colon because the bubble is there, or the diverticulum is there for a reason. And so you got to get the nutrition level as high as you can in your body so the body can absorb the nutrients so the body can heal. And that's another perfect reason to use things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source because it's we take fruits and vegetables, juice them, take the water and the sugar out at a very low temperature, and then what's left is a powder. And then we add prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, a complete multivitamin. So for someone like you, this is like made for you. And those are available on my website, also available on Amazon, drjoeesposito.com, or just go to Amazon, look my name up, Dr. Joe Esposito. You want to avoid anything that's going to irritate the bowels. That would be dairy products. That would be wheat. And notice how you feel if you eat certain beans or lentils because they have something in it called lectins. And lectins can irritate people's bowels, so you have to see if you can do them or not. And if you can't, just don't do them until your colon heals. Then you can do them again.
Yeah. I don't seem to have a problem with any kind of lentils or beans.
And as a chiropractor, I would check the nerves in the low back because the nerves in the low back control the colon. And so if you have a pinched nerve in the low back, it could be adding insult to injury. You want to unpinch those nerves as well. Okay?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for listening. I appreciate you listening. So it's important, folks, you understand that you have to have a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. That's the plan. That's what we call Joe Obamacare. That's the plan for you to get well and stay well. So chiropractic used to be looked at as a great source of treating back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain. But 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. So you can have a pinched nerve and not know it. And that's why in our offices we check the nerves that feel pain and we check the nerves that don't feel pain. So it's really important that you get everything checked. And then if the acid reflux or the digestive problems are there, you may have to physically manipulate the organs around, and then at least take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, along with other supplements as well, but that's the minimum. And those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Also on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, we put it on Amazon because folks do that now because that's a cool thing to do. Folks, got to go to break. Tell your friends about the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you could spend a little time with me today. We're talking today, or answering your question today, why am I so hungry all the time? Why is it I just can't stop eating? And a lot of times it's because you're eating bad foods. And remember this, when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. So look at the meal you ate and tell me, is it loaded with a lot of quality nutrients, a lot of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds? And if the answer is no, then I can almost promise you that's why you're hungry all the time. Because your brain is saying, dude, I appreciate all that lasagna, because I'm Italian, but that's not what I needed. What I needed was some salad. I needed some fruits, some vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And so I'm going to make you hungry again, so maybe you'll put the right stuff in this time. And so when you start eating right, you'll find you eat a whole lot less food. Now, there's a lot of benefits to that. Number one, you'll save a ton of money. It will be insane how much money you'll save. I look at my food bill, and it's crazy. It's so little compared to everybody else. And sometimes you just got to get creative. You have to rethink what a meal is. If you think a meal is, 3 sides and a piece of meat, well, that's a meal for you, but maybe you can have 4 sides and no meat. Oh, well, that's an idea. Maybe I can have a salad because the salad's going to give me enzymes in my body. That's going to help me feel better. Well, that's kind of neat. I can go to a restaurant and just do side orders. I've done this already, gone to a steakhouse or someplace, and it's not about the meal for whatever reason. Maybe it's a business meeting, and I'll say, okay, well, I'll just have the baked potato and the mushrooms and the broccoli and a side salad. And my bill might be, I don't know, a fraction, a third, a half to a third of what everybody else's bill is. So you'll save a ton of money. You'll live longer. If you're worried about the environment, it's better for the environment. You'll feel great. You'll probably add years to your life. There's no downside to doing this, and you won't be hungry all the time, which is kind of cool. All right, let's go back to the callers. George, how can we make your day better?
Oh, hey, Dr. Joe. A year ago, I had a surgery for a grade 3 spondylolisthesis in my L4.
Yes.
And had to have it fused to the other one.
Yep.
And I've been healing up well. The surgery, I think, I'd say was successful. But the nerve was pinched for like 25 years. I had done this. I'm 57. I did this when I was in my 20s.
Uh-huh.
And just had chiropractic care and, toughed it out. But over the last few years, it got so bad I couldn't cope with it.
I understand.
So I still have occasional sciatica, and it's like the nerves are still trying to heal. And I just wondered what your recommendations to try and, get the nerves to completely heal, and
Sure.
what your exercise recommendations would be on this. I'm up to 5 miles a day walking.
Oh, that's great.
Right now,
okay.
So.
I have a grade 3 spondylolisthesis, so I totally understand. This is you're hitting me home here, man. This is a personal touch here. I have the grade 3 spondylolisthesis. What that is, folks, if you don't know what it is one of the bones anywhere in the body can fracture and actually slide forward. Now, if it slid backwards, you'd probably be paralyzed. Luckily for you and me, George, it slid forward and it stayed away from the spinal cord. And there's certain adjustments that work very well for spondylolisthesis. So your basic, garden variety chiropractic care is amazing for most people. But for people like you and me, there's special adjustments where you have to adjust from the front backwards. Most chiropractic care is from the back forward. And that's the only thing that keeps me going because I had the shooting pain down the leg. I would cry in pain. I remember in high school, I'd play football and hockey and just cry after games. So special adjustments designed specific for spondylolisthesis are very important. Now, even though you've had the surgery, what may have happened is scar tissue formed. So the surgery was a complete success, but then scar tissue started wrapping around the nerves. So in cases like that, in our offices anyway, and I hope a lot of the doctors have it too, we have special tables to gently traction out the spine and break up the scar tissue. Then for someone like you and me, you need to adjust from forward to back to try to reset it. Walking for me is absolutely my favorite exercise. I've tried everything, to gym, to kickboxing, to aerobics, and walking is the thing that does best for me. And swimming, I do pretty well with swimming as well. So keep doing what you're doing. If you want to come see us or know somebody who's an expert in spondylolisthesis, you can get that worked on as well.
I'm taking Boswellia for inflammation.
Sure.
because it seems like anytime I have any kind of inflammation, I'm taking that and what's the one in
curcumin.
Indian food?
Curcumin, turmeric,
curcumin.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I take those two together every day, a couple times a day, so they don't have to use the NSAIDs or the
right. No, very good.
And I was just wondering if there's anything else you thought I should add to that.
Well, you want to stay away from what I call the 7 deadly sins, which are all inflammatory: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. So a lot of fruits and vegetables, and raw food is going to have enzymes in it. I would add Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source because they work wonders for me because of the enzymes. The enzymes can break up inflammation. And the turmeric, the boswellia, those are excellent for the pain as well. So you're doing really good there. A lot of water. But sugar is going to be really the evil of all the foods, George, for you.
Well, that's the biggest thing that I cut out this last year that's made a huge difference for me. I completely cut out all sugar. And, and that made that's what got me up to walking so well.
I know. I wish I could tell everyone in the world, if you're in pain, listen, cut out the sugar if you do nothing else. Then add Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Essential Source. Then add the chiropractic. Then add the walking. Sounds like you're doing all the right things, but you may need some special care for that to stabilize it. So.
Okay.
Thanks, George.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for the call. Thank you. Yeah, see, folks, what we try to do in our offices is we try to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms. And like George was saying, you can take pain pills, which are fine. Sometimes you need them. I'm not against you taking them. But in the process, I also want you to get to the cause of the problem and get that fixed. Because otherwise, you're taking pain pill after pain pill, which can lead to liver problems, digestive problems. And then, this is another problem with pain pills. And again, I'm not against that, please. If you're not feeling the pain, you move around more. And then when the pain pill wears off, the pain is actually worse. So what we're talking about today is why you're eating so much. And it could be something like you're pregnant. Well, for the ladies, of course. Now, some moms-to-be, they feel a little queasy if they eat too much the first few weeks. Others may feel like you're hungry all the time. You can also start craving new foods or feel sick at the thought of eating certain foods. So if you think that might be the reason behind why you can't stop eating, simple test kit from the pharmacy is real easy. It's not like the old days. You can actually just, pee on a stick and find out if you're pregnant. And also if you eat too fast, because remember, it takes 20 minutes to get the message from your stomach to your brain. So if you're eating too fast, you're eating too much, and the brain is not getting the message, the leptin being released from the stomach to go up to the hypothalamus to tell you that you're full. And so that could be an issue too. So eating slowly is going to be more satisfying, and you'll probably eat less. Take smaller bites, chew well, and here's the thing, and I'm guilty of it just like you are, taste your food, roll it around in your mouth, because the saliva in your mouth is going to start digesting your carbohydrates. It has something called salivary amylase, and that breaks down your carbohydrates, and then your stomach has protein digestive enzymes in it, hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and pepsinogen. And then it goes into your small intestine where your pancreas releases amylase, lipase, and protease to break down the fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Then your gallbladder releases bile to break down the fats. And so it's a step-by-step process. And if you're not chewing your food, you're not starting the process. And so it's really important that you chew your food, taste the food, roll it around in your mouth, roll it around on your tongue so that you can say, oh, that's a creamy avocado, that's a crunchy carrot. And you'll be amazed how much less food you eat. And don't forget, it takes 20 minutes to get the message from your stomach to your brain, so be careful. Folks, if you have a question, a number here at the studio, 844-44-DR-JOE. That number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. If you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, my books, listen to radio shows, watch videos, the website is drjoeesposito.com. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. Glad you spent a little time with us today. We got a mod on the board, Johnny on the calls. If you have a question, and Johnny will answer your call at 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DR-JOE. That number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. And if you have questions, you could send them to me through my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. And what we're talking about today is why am I so hungry all the time? And we said this earlier, but I want to make sure you understand this, that certain foods make you feel full. There's a thing called the satiety index, and it tells you how full or how satisfied you're going to feel. And higher ranked foods satisfy your hunger better for the same amount of, let's say, calories. For example, roasted potatoes are a lot more filling than French fries. So you have to start thinking about, what am I eating? Now, if you're going to eat potatoes, first let me back up on that, you only want to eat organic. Anything that grows underground, so potatoes, carrots, onions, organic only, because if the farmers spray it with so many pesticides over years, the chemical pesticides can build up in the soil, and then you eat the food and you're absorbing those chemical pesticides. And it's a big different world than it was even 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when it comes to pesticides and chemicals and hormones and genetically modified foods. And it's not the same food that if you're over 40, you ate when you were a kid, and it's certainly not the same food your grandparents ate. And so a lot of people, when they come to this country, they taste the food, and they say, the food is awful in America. They can't eat the meat. They can't eat the food doesn't have any flavor, because a lot of other countries have banned a lot of the pesticides that we use, genetically modified foods that we use. They've banned them in other countries. And in fact, if you go to an average grocery store in Europe, you're going to see only about 20% of the same products on the shelves that you'll see in the States. 80% of them will be different products, because so many of the things we sell here in the United States have been banned in other countries. There's a reason for that. They're smarter than us. So you have to make sure you're eating foods that satisfy you, and fats are very good at satisfying your hunger. So maybe have an avocado with your salad and throw some nuts in the salad, and you'll be amazed how much more full you feel. People say, well, Dr. Joe, I ate salad, I was starving. Throw some avocados, throw a little bit of oil in there. You have to have oil when you're eating salads, because some of the nutrients like vitamin A, D, E, and K need fat to be absorbed. And if you're eating a fat-free salad dressing thinking you're on a diet, you're not absorbing your nutrients, which could then make you not feel so satisfied, which can then lead to you eating more food. All right, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe, D-R-J-O-E. Adam, how can we make your day better?
Hello, Dr. Joe. Thanks for taking me.
You are welcome.
The question I have is about apple cider vinegar. I know you like this product, and I'm in my 40s, moderately healthy, trying to eat right. I just don't know when to take the cider vinegar, in the morning, at night, before food, with food, food, etc.
I always take it in the morning because I forget things. But the raw organic, it's got to be raw organic apple cider vinegar. Try to get it in a glass jar, because we don't want to ever put acids like vinegar in plastic, because it can dissolve some of the plastic and get the chemicals in there. I take it first thing in the morning. I take a big glass of it. I always have tea in the morning, so I'll save some tea, add the apple cider vinegar to it, add a little stevia to it, and just chug it down. I don't like the flavor, to be honest with you, but it works great. It increases your metabolism. It helps with digestion. It's loaded with probiotics and nutrients. Now, if you have bad acid reflux, and if you can't get to see us, or you're delayed between visits, you can take it before every meal, because it's going to help stimulate your digestive system and help break down your proteins more efficiently.
Okay.
Sound good?
That's great. Thank you for your advice.
No, you're welcome, Adam. Thanks for calling. And if you have a question, folks, the lines are open. 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. That's me. Somebody asked me the other day, Dr. Joe, was that with an E? And I thought, I never knew a man to spell Joe with a J-O, but I didn't argue. I just said, yes, it is J-O-E, as a matter of fact. Other reasons why you can't stop eating. You may smell or see something. Maybe you saw an ad for ice cream or smelled some fresh baked cookies when you walked into the Market's Bakery. Now, you notice grocery stores, they're very smart, by the way, because they roast the chickens and they put that smell as you're walking in. They put that there, or the bakery is right near the front door. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into laying out a grocery store. And even the height that certain foods are on, the more expensive foods are eye level. The discounted foods, or lower priced of the same product, essentially, are going to be on the lower shelves or higher shelves, because you're less likely to buy them. You walk in, you're going to buy impulse. You're just going to look and buy it. So maybe you saw something or smelled something. Try to notice these triggers, and then try to decide what's going on. Because if I say ice cream to you, you may say, well, I could really go for some ice cream. That's called advertising. And so start to think, do I really want this, or did I just get spurred on by some advertising? And then think logically. People always ask, I don't know what to eat. I don't do what I would do. I said jokingly and sacrilegiously one day, I said, we're going to put out a bracelet, WWJD. What would Joe do? And if I would eat it, then you could eat it. If I'm not going to eat it, then you shouldn't eat it. And it's really not hard. It's easy. But it took me a long time, too, to get to this point, because I didn't have anybody coaching me. I had to figure this all out by myself. You got me. I got you, babe. Sonny and Cher. There you go. See, I've been very musical tunes today. Maybe it's your emotions that are making you eat too much. Many people turn to comfort foods when they're upset, they're bored, they're sad, they're depressed. You might hear things like emotional eating or comfort foods. Those are catchphrases. But what's your mood? Is your mood right for what you're eating? And the answer is probably no, because you're eating emotionally then. If you're not really hungry, try doing something else that you might enjoy. If you find that you often feel blue, stressed out, or anxious, you might want to talk to your doctor, your counselor. There might be other issues. You may have a digestive problem. Every emotional case that I've ever seen, or patients with emotional components, always have an undiagnosed or untreated digestive problem. Because your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. And the amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain, and serotonin helps you calm down and focus. Tyrosine becomes dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that gives you pleasure. Glutamine becomes GABA, which suppresses pain. And so if you have acid reflux or heartburn or burping or gas, not only you're not producing leptin, which is the hormone that tells your brain that you're full, but you may not be producing the neurotransmitters properly. And so you feel anxious or you feel sad and you think, well, what can I do to feel better? Well, let me take something that's going to get me high. In steps sugar, in steps chocolate, ice cream, your comfort foods. And so those stimulate the nucleus accumbens to produce dopamine, and you feel better for a second. Long term, you feel worse. So what do? As any addict would, you turn to the thing that you're addicted to. Could be a thyroid issue. If you do, it can make you tired, nervous, moody, hungry, rapid heart rate. These could all be signs of something called hyperthyroidism. So talk to your doctor about these symptoms. If you find you have a thyroid problem, many times it can be managed. It might be a pinched nerve in the neck going into the thyroid. It could be that you're not getting enough iodine. That's why with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, we always put iodine. We put sea vegetables in there for your iodine. That's why everybody should be taking Super Greens and Essential Source every day. Those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com, also available on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. Hey, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. My website is drjoeesposito.com. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, thanks for being here. We're talking about why you're hungry all the time, and that's a big issue. A lot of people come to me and say, Dr. Joe, I can't stop eating. It could be medication you're taking, too. Some medications that treat depression or mood swings, along with certain antihistamines, antipsychotics, and corticosteroids. So if you're taking these medications, you might want to consider maybe it's the medication doing it. But once again, when you're hungry for nutrition. So give your body just tons of nutrition. That would be fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. About 60% of your diet raw. At least for supplements, take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're on my website, drjoeesposito.com, also on Amazon. When you start giving your body tons of nutrients, you're going to be amazed how much less food you eat. Let's go back to the callers. Kathy, how can we make your day better?
Yes, Dr. Joe. I would like to know your opinion about the starch-based diet, the Plant Pure Nation, I think they have. I guess you ought to say that. And also the one where you have a lot of greens and very low fat for heart disease.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the starch-based diet. I'm not a big fan of starches. Now, again, it depends on the type of starch. So, for example,
this would be potatoes, rice, beans.
Yeah, if you're gonna
quinoa, things like that.
Okay, quinoa I'm okay with, but here's the thing with starches: you can create you can add these to your diet, but you want to make them what's called a resistant starch. And what a resistant starch is you take a starch, cook it, and then cool it in the refrigerator overnight. Then don't heat it up. You can make it room temperature, but don't heat it again. And if a starch is cool, it changes the molecular structure and creates something called a resistant starch. And with a resistant starch, you're only going to absorb about 50% of the starches, and the rest of it now can become what's called a prebiotic. It actually feeds the good bacteria in your colon. So by eating room temperature rice, potatoes, cooled overnight, and then room temperature from there, it's not permission to eat a lot of starches. If you're going to eat them, you want to make sure it's what's called a resistant starch. So
you wouldn't want to heat up a rice and have it hot. With a green tea like the Chinese do.
Exactly, yes, but don't heat it. That's the key. And as far as greens go, I'm absolutely positively a huge fan of greens. Everyone should be doing it. In fact, Dr. Joe's Super Greens is greens. And Dr. Joe's Essential Source has vegetables greens in it as well. So greens are awesome.
That from you.
You what?
Yeah, I have from you. Yeah, I bought that from you.
Okay, good, yeah. So you know how good it is then.
It is, yes.
Yeah, so good. Tell everybody again. It's so good, right? Yes. Okay.
Oh, it's delicious too. It tastes good. It makes me feel better. I agree with you about the raw food too. I did a raw food class.
Oh, excellent.
In Atlanta,
Yeah. So,
but I didn't know about the resistant starch. I never knew that.
see, you'll learn something new every day on this show, right, Kathy?
Yeah, that's a big one.
There
yes.
you go. But still limit them. Don't eat a lot of them. But if you're going to eat them, make sure you make them resistant. Fair enough?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. I appreciate the call. Let's keep taking callers. Glenn, how can we make your day better?
How you doing, Dr. Joe?
Doing great, man.
I have a friend that suffers from adhesions. What kind of diet should she be on? I kind of know, but I just want to get your opinion.
Yeah. Where are the adhesions?
I think they're intestinal and internal organs.
Okay, yeah. So once again, in the intestines, the bowels need to be moving 2 to 3 times a day. Fiber is going to push things through the colon. So if you're eating too much, sometimes you eat too much fiber, and it may cause a lot of gas or cramping. So you got to be careful as to how much fiber you're putting in the colon. You kind of know that. You'll know that yourself. Also, she might want to consider massage, because massage can get in there and sometimes break up the adhesions. So a very well-trained massage therapist might be able to gently get in there and break up some of the adhesions. But with adhesions, you want to stay away from the acid foods. The acids will irritate the body and can build more adhesions. And the acid foods, we talk about them all the time: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Those are the acid foods that everyone should be avoiding. And then by eating a lot of enzymes, which keep talking about this, the raw food is going to have enzymes which can actually break down some of the adhesions. It can break down infections and swelling. So raw food is going to be a key for her as well.
Okay. Is there you have an article on your website that's closely related to that?
I don't have one on adhesions, no, unfortunately. But the raw food, we talk a lot about the raw food. So if you look into that, that would be helpful for you as well. And that's why the Super Green Tea Essential Source, we make them and we keep them raw so that the enzymes are still active.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate the call.
All right.
So we're talking today about why am I hungry all the time? And by the way, if you missed today's show, you didn't get it all, that's a shame, because it was a good show. But all the shows are good. The good news is for you, with this saving grace, I want to be your knight in shining armor. Go to my website, and we're going to archive this and hundreds of hours of other shows, drjoeesposito.com. And we videotape our live lectures. And on the website, go into media. We have the videotapes of my live lectures. They're a lot of fun, because so much of healthcare is physical. And I have to show you what we're talking about, and I can't do that on radio, unfortunately. So that's why we videotape the live lectures. Also, check my schedule. And I'd love to invite you to come out to our live lectures, because they're a lot of fun. And usually we give away like free food samples, and sometimes vendors will come in and give samples of things. But I'd love to have you come out to the live lecture. So check the website, and if I'm in your area, come on out. I want you to follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. It's at Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is Facebook/Dr. Joe Esposito. And we post things. We post radio shows. We post lectures. If you go to my website and send me your email address, I'm more than happy to put you on my newsletter. It's no charge. I never give out your email address to anyone. Don't worry. And we send out articles, newsletters, the blogs that I've written, and it's just another good source of information. Real simple, real light. I don't like these big, long things. I don't have that kind of attention span. I'm assuming you don't either. So a lot of good information there. And again, any questions, send them to me through the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. So as we wrap up, we're talking about why you can't stop eating. And it could be that you're not getting enough sleep. When you sleep, you change the balance of your hunger hormones, a leptin and a ghrelin. Leptin goes from your stomach to your brain and makes you feel full, and ghrelin is released from your small intestine and makes you hungry. And it changes in a way that can make you eat more. It can also make you more likely to reach for snacks that have more calories to try to satisfy those urges. So if you think you have lack of willpower, that's not true. You can't discipline yourself out of your desire for food. Hunger is such a basic biological urge that no one can use willpower alone to resist it. If you rely on willpower, you're almost always going to fail. You have to understand the chemistry, the neurophysiology. The neuro meaning brain, physiology is how it works, as to why you get these cravings. It's a natural thing to feel hungry. If you didn't feel hungry, we would all be dead. So if you don't understand why it's happening, it may be that you have acid reflux or heartburn. We need to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. You might have pinched nerves. Chiropractically, we need to fix that. You might be deficient in nutrients. Take Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source on the website or on Amazon. We have them there. Get more raw food in the diet. Eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Try these things. And if they don't work, so what? But they will. I promise you that. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. One more time, my website, drjoeesposito.com. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.